All right, welcome back, and this is the episode where we're gonna build our Project Redline. We painted a lot of pieces, I've ordered a lot of pieces, and before we start building it, let's back up a little bit because the heart of the thing is the motor, right? So originally a CT70 came with this 70cc 3-speed motor, and they say it put out about 5 horsepower, and depending where you read on the internet, went about 38 miles per hour. But the cool thing is it got like 90 to 100 miles per gallon. So this is probably what a lot of you grew up with. This was what was propelling us around when we were little kids, weighed a lot less. And as you get bigger and older, you want to go faster. So the bike that we bought actually came with this YX140 engine. This is a 4-speed motor. It puts out about 13.5 horsepower. This little nibby carburetor. It actually ran really, really well. I liked it a lot. It was a semi-auto, wanted a clutch, but I got up to 52 miles an hour just on stock gearing. But this is Project Redline. We got to go big. So we're going as big as we possibly can. And this is the Zongshen 212cc 5-speed motor that we're going to put it in. And it has 18 horsepower, and people are going 80 plus miles an hour with this motor. Now, here's the downside. It only gets like 30-40 miles per gallon. So that's kind of an issue with a little teeny tiny tank. But it's time to build this thing. We're gonna go through and do a couple reliability things on here. We're gonna change the oil. We're gonna check the valves. We're gonna put in a new starter, heavy duty starter chain, and also a heavy duty decompression spring. So these are some of the things to make this engine more reliable for our build. So here we go. Let's build Project Redline. Here we are again with our Project Redline build, and believe it or not, we've actually put some miles on this thing to see if it had any drivability issues and things that we had to correct before we even tore it down. You can see we've already started tearing it down, and we're gonna tear it all the way down to nothing. And then next is paint and performance parts, put it all back together and have a lot of fun with it. All right, here we are pretty much at the end of disassembly. We've taken off the rear suspension, the front suspension, handlebars, all that kind of stuff. For now, I've left the electrical in the frame. We're gonna see if we can get away with that or not, but the tank and the electrical are gonna stay in the frame. We're gonna separate the frame from the engine, and then we're pretty much disassembled as far as we can go. Here we go. All right, here we are, and it's assembly day. This is the fun part. So we've got our 212, and we've done some reliability mods and everything, and that thing's sitting good. And then we've got our painted frame, and I've already prepped it with the fuel tank is in here, all the wiring harness is in here, even the battery, fuel lines, those kind of things. A lot of this has to go in before it even goes on top of the motor anyway. So now it's time to take this good looking frame and put it on top of that good looking motor. So here we go. So last time this thing fit, before all the paint and everything like that. Now it's a little bit off from fitting. So we're gonna have to do some investigation and figure out what is holding it up, because it was tight before, but it did fit. So something is in the way, and it might be our coil. No. Through the miracle of editing, it looks like I got the frame all on in just a few seconds, but it actually took a while. I had to take all the guts out. It was the vent tube was being pinched in there. So now the frame is officially on the motor, and now we can start bolting everything else together. All right, well, tonight I'm roughing it a little bit. I don't have my videographer, AKA my son, and so we're gonna see how this all turns out. We're gonna work on the rear end of the bike tonight. You can see we've done a few things already off camera. Got the carburetor on, got the petcock in, got that plumbed and everything. Got the electrical in, battery, those kind of things. So it's really down to kind of the rear end and the front end. So tonight we're gonna tackle the rear end. So here we go. I'm gonna show you a few things that we modified and changed as we go. So this is the 2-inch extended swing arm that it came with, and we're just gonna put that thing back in. Kind of went through it, cleaned it up, tightened up the bearings, those kind of things in the races, and we're gonna shim it. We're gonna put some washers in here because this thing had a bunch of play. So let's get this thing in here. Okay, as you can see, the swing arm is in, and it was actually quite a bit more challenging than I thought. Anybody that's ever tried to shim one of these up and make it nice and solid, it takes quite a bit to get those little washers in, but that actually wasn't the hardest thing. It was the vent tube. Once again, that vent tube gave me problems to the point where I had to, for the first time, modify the frame for the 212 motor. What I had to do was I had to drill a 1/2-inch hole right in here so that it came out, because I had it originally coming this way and it was pinched. And if you know anything about these motors, it's actually really important that they breathe. So there's a hole there, but I had to take all the battery and electrical and the guts out and everything, and even loosen up the motor mounts to do it. So it was quite a bit, but that's actually the first thing that I've had to modify to put this motor in. So next, I will eventually put the tire on, but I want to show you some of the things that I've modified. But the tires are going to be these Duro 130/90s. They're about the biggest tire that I understand that you can put in here, and I've already ridden it with them, and I really, really like them. They're great tires. So we'll just keep modifying this thing. All right, so the back end is coming together. Didn't want to bore you with some of the simple stuff, but you can see I got the seat on, and the tire, and the shocks. Got the brakes all together and everything down there. Also got a new brake arm since the foot brake that I had wasn't all that great. And then this really sweet Bart Motoco exhaust. Yeah, that thing's really cool. Then also added the Bart Motoco rack, and it's a perfect size for this thing. It really looks good on there. And then also the stoplight signal light from Bart Motoco. And then next I'll show you what things that we're gonna add on that are kind of modifications. All right. Got the original chain guard bolted to the frame with the 212 engine, and it took a little bit more modification than I thought. I had taken these spacers out, and what I didn't realize was when I mocked it up, I had the engine in the frame. I did not have that big rear tire in there, and it did not fit. So I ended up having to put the spacers back in and took the spacer out of the bottom right here and then just bolted it up. So a little bit of modifications. I think it looks great to have that original thing on there. So the next thing that we're gonna do is, this thing came with this auxiliary gas tank like this. and I really didn't like it. So I wanted to do something different, and I got a auxiliary tank off of a Trail 90. You guys probably have all seen these before. And with the Bart Moto Co. rack, I ended up using this bolt right here. And then on the license plate, instead of making this just a flimsy plastic thing, I made this out of metal. Put a little extra thing on here for a little fender action there, keep some mud off. And then I made this tab right here, this little angle, and it's bolted to right there. And so these two bolts actually bolt up my Trail 90 auxiliary tank, and it's pretty stout. So I'll bolt it up and then I'll let you see the results. All right, here it is with the rear end of the bike pretty much all finished. And there is the Trail 90 auxiliary gas tank. I think that gives me like 1.2 gallons in the whole bike. Still not that much, but felt like it was a really clean fit. You can see right over here where it's bolted on. Took a little bit of doing, but it really wasn't that hard. It was kind of like it was meant to be there. So next thing is we're gonna put the front on. So I'll assemble the forks and everything. It's all pretty straightforward. I did change out the bearing races right there. It's gonna have the roller bearings in the front, and we'll start putting the front together and do some modifications there too. All right, as you can see, the front end is all together and it went pretty quick. Let me just take a minute and show you some of the ways that we modified it that you didn't see. One is that I machined out this area here so that I get a better turning radius. The other one is that I completely rebuilt the front forks. The guy that we got it from said that they were no good. Actually, they just didn't have any oil in them. So rebuilt them, put enough oil in them, and put a little compression thing here to kind of up the spring rate for the weight, and they're actually doing pretty good. I also modified the ears on the light to push it back because it was kind of sticking out and kind of ugly, kind of looked like a clone. So cut about 1.5 inches off and relocated that. Also, you can see it's got the new Renthal bars and new controls, and it was a little bit of a trick to kind of graft in the electronics to the existing wiring harness, but we got it all done, and this thing is actually ready to fire up. I have not fired it up, so we just put gas in it, just turned on the gas, and this is gonna be the first start, and we'll see if it starts or not. Here we go. That's good. Oh, it started. Get it idle. And there we go. It runs, it idles, it works. Let's take it for a drive. All right, as you can see, Project Redline runs, and it runs really, really good straight out of the box. Didn't do any tuning, and it just ran really good. The only thing I did was adjust the idle, and later we'll tune the carburetor and that kind of thing. Maybe we'll get more horsepower out of it, but wanted to let you know some of the stats between this and a stock Trail 70. It is 7 inches longer. The seat height is 2 inches higher. There's 14 more horsepower, 2 more gears. Top speed's probably about plus 50 miles an hour faster than a stock Trail 70, but it's also probably about 10 times louder and gets about 1/5 of the gas mileage. So, you know, there's some downsides there too. But Project Redline is pretty much done, and now it's time to begin the adventure. So here we go.